Thank you, Chairman Webster, for calling today's hearing. The Coast Guard is the premier agency tasked with projecting sovereignty in the Arctic, which is a critically important mission. The region is slowly opening to all forms of commerce. The Arctic region has a $3 billion seafood industry vulnerable to overfishing and contains billions of dollars in natural resources. A U.S. presence is required to ensure safe and responsible development and the protection of resources and the environment. Unfortunately, the Coast Guard icebreaking mission is woefully under-resourced. The service's only two ocean-going icebreakers are well past their service life and often the victims of machinery casualties. This is simply unacceptable. I've had the privilege of seeing firsthand the capability of our Coast Guard icebreakers, and I understand the important service they provide to our nation. While recapitalization of the icebreaking fleet was identified as a priority almost 2 decades ago, we are still several years and over $1 billion away from the delivery of the first polar security cutter. As a result, the United States is missing out on the opportunity to enforce rules-based order and freedom of navigation in a geopolitically competitive arena in the Arctic. It's not simply about icebreaking. On the Great Lakes, the Coast Guard operates 9 icebreakers and only 1 is a heavy icebreaker. For the region itself, which is heavily dependent on commercial shipping, the need for more capable assets cannot be understated. 55% of the regional economy is dependent on key shipping channels, and 2/3 of domestic icebreaking operations happen on the Great Lakes. It is no secret that the United States has fallen behind the curve when it comes to the number of ice-capable ships in our arsenal and the time spent in the Arctic. This hearing today is focused on the need for the United States to invest in newer and better ships, more sophisticated technologies, and the capabilities to sustain the invaluable geostrategic presence in the region. While the Coast Guard has done as much as they can with only 2 ships, we need to give them the opportunity to do more, with more. I have major concern about the delayed PSC program and the amount of funding actually needed to just get 1 ship built. This is a far cry from the over 55 ships that are at our adversaries' disposal. From a national security perspective alone, this, again, is unacceptable. I want to be clear, the resources required to build, home port, and maintain polar security cutters are substantial. If Congress does not double the Coast Guard's budget in 2026, the service will either have to abandon the program, cease construction of offshore patrol cutters, or cut significant portions of its operations. The House passed an authorization bill earlier this year that begins to appropriately resource the Coast Guard, and I implore my colleagues on the Appropriations Committee to follow suit. The service has proven time and time again that even in the face of ship casualties and little to no resource support, they continue to sail onward. But how much can we keep asking of them? It's time for Congress to step up. I'm proud to advocate for America's Coast Guard and advocate for increased resources. I look forward to the testimony today and to hear about how Congress can better support the service. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.